Okay, can you hear me now? 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 Hello, Tadeusz. Can you hear me? I can't hear myself. Hear me now. Yes. Yes. Okay, we are back. Hello, and we are live. It's Konstantin here. Rusty, as usual. We've been away for a week. I'm going to start again. Hopefully, Simon, the audio is now also 5 as the video is 5. So, but we've been away. Hope everyone had a wonderful Easter break. Enjoy the sunshine in the UK. Surprisingly, we've got a bit of sun. I think it was just only one day of rain. So we are enjoying that moment. And it's really, really nice. But as you saw, the way I prepare for things is in the last 3 minutes before the live stream. It's been extremely busy in the shop for a very simple reason. A lot of people are coming and want to try a Z5II. A lot of people are coming and picking up Z5II camera. It started to ship yesterday, and the pre-orders were good, but they weren't like levels of Z6 III or Z8, let's say, you know, because obviously it's not as exciting camera compared to, let's say, Z8 or Z6 III from the specs point of view, but obviously it needs to hit a certain price point, and that's the reason for that. But what we started to see actually yesterday and today is people coming and just, you know, want to try the camera out. And I guess the price point is right for a lot of people who wanted to get into full frame, who were DX users, or who, you know, surprisingly, the amount of DSLR users, it's still quite a large pool of people. So those are people coming in and trying. And yes, I've been with the guys for a whole morning today, and it's been surprisingly really, really busy. Thank you very much, Jay Blue. I should just not have sound all the time because, you know, thanks for coffee. I appreciate it. Let me have a coffee, actually, because I haven't had one. I hope everyone is all right. Let me say hello to everyone. Got John Hughes in the chat, Colin Murphy, John Rayleigh, Rick Getty, David Moscoro, Perry Elyson, Richard Hovland, Simon Ma, Terry Allen, Simon Hopkinson, Phaetograph, Michael Ladley, Michael Reed, Champagne Sumo is also in chat, Jay Blue, Carsten Mars, who says, where am I? Why am I here? Something Nikon sounds right. It is sounds right, isn't it? Because when you don't have time to prepare for the live stream, we do something Nikon, or talk or news. So the show is about you, actually. So if it's your first time, Carsten, basically the whole idea of the show, when I don't have a guest, because guest is more of a discussion and interview side of things, but when I'm alone, it's all about you. It's all about your comments in the chat, your questions. If I don't have the show if you don't ask me questions, if you don't put any comments. So the chat is all about the chats, but all about your opinions on different things, Nikon. So today we are freestyling effectively. So you tell me what you want to talk about. You know, ask me the questions. I will answer them. There was who was there who said, I think Rick Getty says, good morning, afternoon, Con, and everyone from Southern USA where tariffs are high. How do we talk about tariffs, our North American viewers, without getting to political territory? I don't know that answer. Maybe you can help him, but let me know what's your thoughts on tariffs without going to politics, obviously, you know. Let's keep it safe. It's an interesting topic, though. It's an interesting topic, obviously. From us Europeans, we look at it, obviously, probably a lot different than from people in the United States. But, you know, that's the thing. I want to know, like, does it affect your purchasing decision on, let's say, any electronics, especially, let's say, cameras and lenses? Because from a lot of, like, you know, I'm following a few things, and obviously, you know, there's like a lot of stuff comes from Japan, but also a lot of stuff is manufactured in China and Taiwan. And how will it affect the price of your Nikon equipment? It's a very interesting you see. Are we kind of limbo and we waiting it out? Kind of has it kind of made your decision to kind of slow down on any purchase right now and see how it plays out, etc. So let's keep it chill. As I say, don't want to go into politics because that's not what this live stream is about. But I want to see as a kind of a photographer who were thinking maybe of buying equipment, who lives in the United States, how does it affect you? Obviously, we as people who live in outside of the United States, you in Canada, let's say Mexico, Europe, United Kingdom, anywhere in Asia, like we obviously it affects us from that point of view, but it's easy to make us angry from that point of view. But I want to see what you actually, people who live in the United States, tell me all about this. This is a good conversation starter, isn't it? So fire away, but let's keep it simple. As I say, it's not about politics today. It's about cameras and lenses. And I know it's a very thin line. It's very hard. So, but please try to stay away from this because, as I say, we all have opinions. That's the thing, and we don't want to go over there. But let's go further and see your comments. So we've got David Moscora says, good morning, Con. Just for your information, the reset on D500 didn't work. No biggie. I can still use manual lenses on 850 and ZF. Well, what I can tell you, David, that there's no way that non-CPU lens data should affect autofocus lens. That means if something is not right, it's effectively, I would suggest you to either, get your camera to the service center or get your lens or maybe try your lens on a different DSLR and see what happens. But in no way non-CPU data should affect autofocus performance of AFS 7200 or any AFS lens. So that's what it is. So the only thing that you can do effectively is reset the camera. There's not much else you can do. Clean the contacts. That's all it is. But as I say, it's very interesting. It shouldn't behave like your camera behaves with the non-CPU lens enabled. So that's that. Let's go further down the road and read Simon Ma's comment. He said, good morning from TorontoCon. Always excited to watch your live podcast and to hear what's new. I was quite surprised and happy that Nikon put out firmware update for the older P1000, even though in minor. Yeah, we've seen quite a few minor firmware updates for quite a lot of cameras, actually. I'm going to go to nikon.co.uk website. I will tell you the story about firmware updates and software updates. Z50II launched yesterday, so it's in stock. I think we don't have the bodies in, but we have the kits, and if you want one, you're welcome to purchase it. But me and Becky were filming a review of the camera. So we spent whole Saturday going around, St. James and Buckingham Palace, all this area. So taking pictures, and we enjoyed the camera. We've shot all raw files. We've got home, uploaded all the footage, started to look into raw files, realizing that the raw files are not supported by any software whatsoever. So Nikon hasn't released their updates. Then Lightroom doesn't support anything. So the only way to actually edit those raw files, open those raw files, is go and to edit the EXIF data and change, let's say, Z5II to model to maybe Z6III or Nikon ZF, and that way it would open the raw files, because I think it's raw files from different cameras. I mean, they all bear sensors, so effectively, it's not much difference between, let's say, like the way that software should demosaic the raw files from Z5II, let's say from camera like ZF and Z6III, etc. Because it's a Bayer sensor, it's a standard sensor. So, but yeah, we were in a situation where we couldn't open those raw files effectively, and then recently, finally, before the release, Nikon issued software updates, and NX Studio finally got update that supports Z5II. So yes, we had releases like wireless transmitter utility, NX Studio, NX Tether, all went up, and then on software side of things, Nikon just put out today P1000 firmware. Z50 saw a firmware update, the Gen 1 camera to 2.6. ZFC also had firmware update, and Z50 Mark II also had a 1.01, so it's a minor update, so effectively bug fixes update and things like this. And of course Z9, big 5.2 firmware update as well. So Nikon has been busy with firmware releases, so that's really, really good. So let's see more of your comments. I've lost the chat. Where's the chat? What's going on? All right, let's find the chat here. Here we are. Of course, by the time I get to the comments of the things I said, it's going to be quite a few minutes later. But let me just go through your comments real quick here and see the question. So Simon Meyer is saying, is Z8 missing any features that the latest Z5II has that firmware update could address? Yes, because Z5II, it's not, it's a camera below. So whatever features are there, Z8 can effectively do that. Say, well, some parts could be different. Let's say Z5II has a different vibration reduction on the sensor. It's more of a ZF vibration reduction on the sensor. It's different from Z8. vibration reduction on the sensor. So this could be different the way it handles certain things like pixel shift and things like this. But because it's got Speed 7 processor, effectively whatever Z52 can do will eventually come. If it doesn't already have it to Z8, it's not going to be an issue at all whatsoever. But as Bruno said, and if you saw our live stream with Bruno, I think it was 2-3 weeks ago, who said that the way they do the firmware is kind of, they do, whenever it's ready, they send out to this camera, and then it will come to another firmware later on. What's from kind of my conversation with Bruno as well, like I asked him about Z9 firmware updates, why certain things are not in Z9, and the way, and again, I like I'm not going to give you an exact quote, but what he says is that the firmware of Z9 is actually, there's a lot of data, so there's a thing where they can't just put the feature in, it will require rewriting of other features as well and rewriting the code. So that's where the issue may be. So it's not actually implementing the features, rewriting the code of the whole firmware to streamline it, so your memory buffer, it's fairly let's say doesn't fill up. Like, we have memory leak in the software, so kind of like this. But again, don't take my word for it. This is how it was explained. He obviously also doesn't work on firmware, so that's how he understood it as well. So that's the thing. So, but it's not exact answer, but that's kind of what the way he explains to me. So again, it could be completely wrong, but obviously that's maybe the reason why certain features don't come straight away into all camera firmwares, and it comes model by model. Hopefully that helps. Michael Reed says, afternoon, Con and everyone. From a rather overcast West Cambria, still managed some macro on unfolding fern fronds, though. Fantastic, fantastic. It's beautiful days in UK. I mean, it's fantastic. I've done lots of gardening over Easter, so I hate gardening, but sometimes, every now and then, things needs to be done. Patio needs to be pressure washed, and all those things. Fence panel needs to be replaced. I hate all this, but got to do those things, unfortunately. But I also took some pictures with my film camera. Got a film camera here. This is Nikon FE, which doesn't have working light meter. No one can fix the light meter. It's a beautiful mechanical camera, though. But unfortunately, it can't be solid gray source meter because we can't fix the light meter. So this one, unfortunately, either we'll go to a person who doesn't mind to use the full manual, or a repair workshop can take it and use the parts for some other repairs. So that's different things. But it's a shame because it's a fully working camera. So I think we would, I'd rather give it to a person who is happy to use full manual cameras. So that's what it is. Okay, let's go further down the comments. Coffee Fund is open. Thank you very much. If you like this stream, if it hasn't got too political in the chat, hopefully not, give the stream a like. Next week, we're going to have a live stream with Gray, where we're going to talk about Nikon in the movies. So it's going to be big on, he's got lots of pictures there. So we're going to do this. And then we're going to have a challenge live stream. So that will be probably on 7th of May, or 9th of May. So whatever Friday that, second week of May, we're going to do our challenge. And the challenge that we have for you, photography challenge, thank you everyone, is called My Hometown. So thank you everyone. Since last live stream, I definitely had a lot more submissions. Thank you very much. I still got some of them that I haven't replied. So if you haven't heard from me, then please don't worry. I will reply to you as soon as I see it. So I'm just going through a lot of backlog on that. But this is a very simple photography challenge. Well, simple and hard at the same time, because I want you to show me the place where you live. And could be a physical space, it could be an abstract, it could be a macro. I just want to see your world in a way, more than hometown in a way, but what you feel like, because in a way, like my hometown, it could be your personal space as well. So there's lots of to think about it. As we discussed last time, you can send me a set of images, but they will be presented as one. So it's going to be all images on one screen. I'm not going to go do a slideshow because we just don't have capacity for that. But so there's all sorts of things. You can send me a set, maybe 3 images max or something like this. But be creative about it. As I say, it could be a landscape, a cityscape. It could be an abstract. It could be macro photography. It could be anything. But I want to hear your story, why you're taking those images, the equipment you've taken with them, equipment you used to take them, or film stock, or who knows, So definitely let me know. And then hopefully we're going to have an interesting stream. On the challenge stream, I probably will bring either Steve or Dan to assist me. You've met them on our previous live streams as well. So yeah, it's going to be fun. So we got 2 more weeks of live streams set up for you after this one. But today I'm rambling, and I'm rambling a lot, and I'm looking at your comments, and hopefully you can ask me some questions so we can continue, because otherwise I'll just run out of things to say, really. All right. So I was brewing my coffee. I'd say it's always in the flask with me, Tadeusz. Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to quickly... so we got, yes, the audio is good. That's fantastic. Thank you very much, Kirill. I greatly appreciate it. He says, Con, what for the equipment, Nikon or otherwise, do you personally want to be released in the near future? Kirill, I will tell you this. It's coming out. This Blackmagic Pixies camera, 12K. It's a video camera. For me, this is, I think, the camera I want to get for my videography, artistic endeavors whenever I have time. So this is something I personally looking forward to, because the sensor is incredible. It's a 12K video sensor which can shoot at 4K without loss of image quality or cropping. So which is absolutely amazing to video things. I'm looking into anamorphic lenses with like 1.5 squeeze ratio, 2 times squeeze ratio. I want to try those lenses out. I want to get those vintage look on those lenses. That's what I'm personally looking forward to. The man has ideas but doesn't have the budget. So that's where, I'm coming from. But I want to try those things. I started to do a lot more video, personal kind of creative video side of things over this Easter break as well. So trying to get into kind of more artistic editing, nothing to do with YouTube, it's just more kind of for me. So those kind of things I'm interested in, trying different lenses. From Nikon side of things, the 28 1.5 Voigtlander is finally, we got a good stock, because the first 2 shipments just sold out completely. So we finally got 3rd shipment where we actually have now lenses. So if you are looking for Z mount 28mm 1.5 Voigtlander lens, we have it in stock. It's a great lens. I used it for last, 4 weeks, exclusively on the Nikon ZF, and it's a great lens. I love my 28s. There's no doubt about this. It's the best 28 you can get on Nikon Z mount right now. So, for the size and performance, it's absolutely wonderful. Reasonably pocketable lens. It's not as pocketable as the 28 Nikon 2.8, but it's not as massive as, let's say, 28 1.4 f mount and things like this. It's fantastic for street photography. That's kind of what I'm excited about. It's very I shoot film primarily, so it's very difficult for me to get excited about new camera. I can tell you this digital camera. It's just I don't shoot digital enough to, for me, I get it, let's say someone hire me for a job, I'll stick on Z8, and I'm sure that I can stick to Z8 for the next 10 years. It's absolutely amazing camera. If I would have Z6 III, it would do the same job for me. So from that point of view, I'm not looking at further advancements in technology. As I say, it's absolutely fine. This new global shutter thing, which everyone talks about, especially for video work, video cameras can get really fast nowadays with readout, under 10 milliseconds, which is very reasonable. So how global shutter, is it a deal breaker for a lot of photographers or videographers who can't live without it? That's it's a different story. I don't think it's a deal breaker, in my opinion. I don't think it's such a big thing, when this Sony, A9 came out or something, so this thing. But that's kind of my short answer for you. But tell me, are you looking personally for any equipment that is going to be released in the future? Everyone, not just Kirill, but everyone. Let me know if you're looking towards something in the future that's coming out and you're really looking forward to. Maybe not buy, but to try it out at least. So let me know in the comments below. All right. So let me just quickly, I'll go up the chart a little bit, and Let's see if I answered anything. Okay, Terry has a question. Carried out the firmware update to my Z50. Not sure what has updated though. Yeah, it was a very small update, to be honest with you. I think it probably was to increase, like, just fix small bugs. I mean, we can all go and have a look at the changelog together, but I don't think there's nothing major was done there. That's for sure. Generally, when we see something major, they go to a proper number, so they don't do like 1.01 or something like this. But yeah, but glad they still support it now, which is nice. All right. Champagne Suma says, when does a camera collection becomes too big? When camera collection when does a camera collection becomes too big? When do you consider the camera collection to be big? Sorry. I think, you can't have too many cameras. At least, like, with digital, I'm ruthless. They just come and go, in and out, in and out. With film, I gotta have them all. I gotta have them all. Whereas the camera in rotation today, it's going to go with me to the theater. It's a little 35Ti. It's a beautiful camera. Really enjoy it. Really enjoy it. It's going to go with me tomorrow. Maybe 28Ti will go with me tomorrow to Wembley. I'm going to FA Cup. Crystal Palace versus Aston Villa. Go Eagles. So I think probably 28Ti will go with me tomorrow, but this one goes to me to the theater today. Looking forward to this. We're going to put the jerseys on, paint the faces, everything, you name it. So exciting day, So that's that. Okay, but let's go further down the road. And Champagne Sumo is asking, with service, do you think more people will buy used? Well, Champagne Sumo, let me know, because I'm not based in the United States, so I don't know actually how it affects people who live in the United States. So that's why I want to hear your opinions, because it's different for us, because we look at it and like I can my Nikon, price of my Nikon hasn't been increased in the United Kingdom. Is the price of your Nikon in the United States has been increased? That's where I want to know. But I think personally that probably, like, if I would try to predict, I think a lot of people will try to write it out and see what happens. So they won't jump the gun yet, or they either bought equipment before the tariffs kicked in, or now they wait and see what kind of agreements are going to be made. So I think probably anything between, let's say, next few days to next 4 years can be volatile. So, but I want to know your opinions. Again, we're trying to keep it kind of, safe and without going too political. But yes, I want to see how did it affect your photographic purchase decisions. Definitely let me know in the comments below. Rick is asking, does Gray offer camera storage if I buy camera from Gray so I can use it on holiday? Well, we generally don't offer camera storage, but sometimes people come in 3 months to pick up the camera. So they buy now, yes, we can hold those. But we can't really get hold on those things for years, for a very simple reason, because someone can think, oh, it's camera here. It doesn't belong to anyone, let's sell it. So, to avoid this kind of confusion, we have a little small storage cabinet, but it's generally normally for people coming maybe in a couple of months. That's the thing. So definitely, if you know you're coming in a few months, I know you've been here when? You've been here recently, right? So within last 6 months. If you're planning to come into London, definitely purchase a camera. We'll put it aside for you. And of course, we'll be happy to see you again in the shop, and your wife. All right, so Moshi, David, in the chat, how are you? Long time. I need to send you that picture with the chicken. Every time I say this, I forget, and leave it with me, hopefully on Sunday. But yeah, message me, and I'll remember. Okay. So David says AF lens works fine on other bodies. Yeah, so David, it's an issue with your camera, effectively. So I think G500 is it. So yes, there's something that needs to be done there. One thing I would suggest you maybe update your firmware if it's not on the latest one. But if you reset your camera, you update your firmware, and it's definitely causing you issues with non-CPU lenses, which shouldn't be, then I can tell you it needs to go to the service center. It's obviously camera will function otherwise, but if it does affect what you do, because some people don't bother with non-CPU lens data, like non-manual focus lens. But if it does affect what you do, then I would get it checked out personally. All right, good day from Canada. Good day from Canada to you, Paul, from United Kingdom. Okay, so let's have a look further down. Mr. Underhill says, is it worth repairing the motor drive for a Nikon F2? Would it make more sense to just buy a functional copy? It probably would make more sense to buy a functional copy, unfortunately, for very simple reason. Not many people fix those, and it just repair may cost you more. So yeah, if you can get a reasonably inexpensive one on eBay, then I would just do that personally. But again, get in touch with the repair workshops, see what the cost is, see what they tell you, and then make a decision based on that. All right, let's see. So tariffs, it doesn't matter if you import new or used on based on tariffs imported into it. Yeah, but you may buy things used in the United States. That way you don't pay the tariff. So I guess, yeah, the local markets should be fine. I mean, you got obviously, who is the big used seller? You probably have MPB in the United States, yeah, and then you have KEH as well. I don't know if B&H Ram does used. I think they do. So if you buy from them, you should be fine. Champagne someone asking what cheese goes well with coffee. The funny thing is, I would say cheddar, right, and extra vintage. But realistically speaking, what's the weird things that's happening now in fancy cafes around London, they do this cheese and chutney pairing with coffees. That's like, weird thing. Never tried it. I'm not that sophisticated. I like my coffee just, nice and black and, no sugar, no cream, no milk. But these things, like, they do put some grapes and cheese and some coffee and stuff like this. But, I like Manchego, actually. I think for the taste profile, it could be quite nice. Some people may prefer Stilton. I don't know, but it's a good question, Champagne Soma. I think, you're onto something here. That's for sure. Simon's asking, have you had enough hometown challenge submissions? I'm shooting mine early next week if it's still on. So Simon, our challenge date has been set, so I think to 9th of May. Yes, to 9th of May. So you got plenty of time. It's 2 weeks. I've got enough submissions, so definitely please send me more. Not as much as on the previous submissions, but this is maybe a little bit like, I don't know. I do find that maybe it's not a simple submission like wildlife, let's say, or sports, So that's why maybe people take a little bit longer. But please send them. I will reply to you saying that I've received them, and you got 2 weeks to do this. I'm going to do a cutoff probably. Let's do cutoff on 7th of May. So that gives me 2 days to kind of just put everything together, organize it by name, etc. So then, yeah, let's say cutoff date for my hometown challenge is 7th of May. Okay. Let's see. Barry Wall says, I've had my Z6 III for just over a month. It has been wonderful. My other Nikon Z cameras are Z7 Mark I and the Z9, which I never conquered. This camera has a lot. It can be used as a simple camera, but it's got a lot of features that I think probably, 99% of Nikon Z9 users are not using full potential of the camera. I have a feeling that, so it's probably using like 60 or 70%, but there's a lot of features that are there that maybe people just, don't even know that they're there. But yeah, when they release a manual for the firmware update, it tells you something, isn't it? And we're on firmware version 5 now, so it's definitely took some time for them to develop, and it's effectively a mother firmware for all the other firmwares. I think it's kind of the main stack if you look at it from the developer's point of view. Okay. Hello, Randall. Good to see you from San Antonio, Texas. Hopefully it's nice and warm there. Is there Z7 Mark II in the future, David is asking. I assume it's Z7 Mark III. We don't know, as simple as that. I would love them to release it. I feel like just to have a different camera, but it looks to me, at least for now, that it's not in the cards. So so it's not on the cards, and but who knows? We've just saw a few announcements. So what do you think? What is the next camera from Nikon? What do you think will be released next? So the next camera that Nikon will release? Will it be Z50II? Will it be Z30II? Will it be a video camera, full frame maybe or something? Or do you think it's going to be Z7 Mark III? Let me know in the comments below. I'm actually not sure what camera Nikon will release next, because a lot of them are up to date. Z50 is pretty good to what it does. Yes, you get XP7, but you're not going to see much of an upgrade anywhere else there. Is it the time for Z50 to be replaced? That's all good question. And obviously, I would love Nikon to release a professional DX body, aka D500 replacement, but with the image stabilizer on the sensor, because I think that's kind of the step that needs to happen eventually for DX bodies. As well, if you want to go to kind of video and vlogging market, ideally that helps with the handheld footage. So that's what it is. Okay. Let's go down the road. Thank you very much, David. I appreciate your coffee fund. Thank you very much. Let's go down. Chris Clark is asking me a question. Hi, Con. You have got me to take the plunge into film. I can retire. I can just ride into the sunset after this. I'm now waiting for my Nikon FE2 to arrive. My question is, will my Nikon AF 28-105, f3.5, 3.3 to 4.5D lens be compatible? Yes, it will. You won't get autofocus, but you can use focusing ring for manual focus, and you will be able to adjust the aperture. So this, on that particular lens, which is 28-105, is a beautiful, beautiful lens. It's actually one, like, it's a zoom which is consumer the zoom, which is considered to be quite sharp. So it's a good choice of that lens. We saw this lens quite a lot when D700 was around. So because a lot of people would pair it with this body and it performed really well. So that lens has the aperture ring, which has a little, like a latch that locks the aperture ring. So for you, because you're going to use it on manual body, for you would need to set the aperture on the aperture ring. So you need to basically unlock the aperture ring, and then you will be able to use it freely. You will use manual focus ring for manual focus. It's not going to feel as nice focusing compared to focusing a proper manual focus lens, because obviously autofocus lens is designed primarily to be used with autofocus, but it's usable. That's the thing. So play with it, but let's say if you want to have slightly better experience in terms of manual focusing, then consider maybe either manual focus prime lenses or zooms as well, manual focus zooms. So there's quite a few to choose from. They do have 28 to 45, I think I'm not mistaken. I haven't looked through it for a while, but there's a lot of 35 to 70, 35 to 105 lenses. I think there's even 35 to 135 lens available. So there's quite a few options there. But start with what you have, see if you enjoy it, if you like it, and then, proceed from there. If you need any film recommendations, let me know. And if you need film developed, and if you're in the UK, I'm the guy. So, all right. So let's see. Champagne Sauce is my favorite film camera is the disposable kind. So disposable cameras, this, like, my couple of thoughts on disposable cameras. First of all, it's a lot of plastics, right? So I don't like the waste. That's the thing. But for us photographers, disposable cameras with, those plastic lenses can be used in a creative way, so we know how to use it. A lot of those cameras at f11 effectively. So as long as you shoot, on a bright sunny day, you should be fine. It's going to be a set shutter speed as well. But for indoors, if you don't use flash, it's going to be an issue. Now, the problem is a lot of young people buy those cameras, don't know how to use them. Send me this camera. I develop, and there's 2 or 3 shots in the whole thing. And if it's their first experience with disposable cameras, can turn them off from film photography in general. And that's what I don't like about disposable cameras, because it could be someone's first experience, and without the knowledge, they think, oh, it's awful, I'm just going to go back to digital. And I think that's something that we need to educate people about. But obviously, for us seasoned photographers, we know how they perform, we know exactly how to use them. It's a different story, and they can be used in the creative ways. Don't like the plastic bit, though. Lots of waste. That's the thing. You can't repurpose them. My advice is don't buy disposable camera. Buy the plastic camera that you can reuse film. But I think maybe, Champagne, so you meant disposable kind, as any film camera is disposable for you, but that's fine. That's fine. I'll still answer your questions 2 ways. So here we are. Okay. J Blue, I will wait for you. Email for photography challenge, absolutely. Rick as well. Whoever wants to submit your images, again, it's a 1080p live stream, so send me not the full resolution, something good enough, maybe 2K wide, max, or and yeah, send me a story. Email to media, media @graceoversminster.co.uk, media @graceoversminster.co.uk. Subject, my hometown challenge. Please, yeah, give me a short story. Tell me about the equipment you use, because it all helps when we look at your images, when we present them to the live stream. So yeah, and thank you everyone for participating. I hope I've done my bit where I, kind of force you out to go and take some pictures, and I find myself in a position where I'm so busy that I don't have enough time to, go out. So when I do this, yeah, I feel like I need to, sometimes like, oh yes, let's do this because, that helps. So, we all live busy lives, isn't it? So let's go and see more of your comments. So Order Higher Angler says, I'm waiting for delivery of an item for a different hobby that was ordered last July. Depending on the price when delivered, I may not purchase that item. There are many other things that I may buy instead. So that's to do with tariffs. Interesting. So thanks for sharing that with us. With all those things happening, I always feel like, can we talk about this on a live stream or not? I always like to talk with you, we're all grown adults, we can discuss those things without getting into politics. So I feel like we should, like normally you like those kind of topics you avoid, but it's just interesting to see your perspective, because we as people who don't live in the United States, I want to, I want to speak to the source. So I want to speak to you. All right. So more comments in the chat. So Paul Harm suggests a solution for this camera. Says you can purchase plenty of shoe-mounted light meters, so don't write the fee off. No, I'm not writing this off. I'd rather, we're not going to scrap it, that's for sure. It's not going to be sold through Grace, but there's different channels we can have where those cameras can go. If we'll find the place, maybe one of our staff will cherish it, because we have guys who started very recently, they're all digital, but they now kind of getting this little itch for film camera. And there's no better way to learn film photography on a fully manual cameras. And you can buy those light meters nowadays that are reasonably inexpensive. One thing actually that I was excited about around photography show, and I checked it out when I was there, a company called Kex, I think it's a Canadian camera company if I'm not mistaken, they manufacture those light meters. But the one that they released around photography show was the Leica style light meter that would go over body like M6 and M4, and it would mount on a shutter speed dial. And basically you can measure the light, you can press the button, and the light meter will turn the dial to set the actual shutter speed on that Leica, which is very cool. So you don't have to do it, so it's effectively like having aperture priority on your camera, but it's attachment on top. This is very cool, like nice development. Leica, I think, used to make that particular style of light meter, and they, as everything Leica, cost a fortune. Leica is raising the prices on 1st of May. I think it's worldwide, if I'm not mistaken. Nothing to do with me. I'm not buying a new Leica anytime soon, but just a heads up. Speaking of tariffs, what's interesting to me, this is kind of topic surrounding it, that some companies raise their prices not just in the United States, but all over the world. So they took that opportunity to raise their prices. PlayStation 5 has been increased, I think, by 20-25% everywhere, in Europe and Asia, not just in the United States. So Sony just took that decision. So if you notice somewhere else, but there are quite a few companies who's done this, so they saw that opportunity to raise the price and they did. I don't know if Leica is doing the same thing. Who knows? But just an observation there. Kermit Rehab says, I have a Z6 III, but drooling for a Z8. Trust me, your Z6 III is absolutely stunning camera and performs really, really well. But of course, if you want a resolution bump, yes, 45 megapixels will give you that. So, but the Z6 III is beautiful. It's actually better for video work. 6K versus 8K, but for a lot of video guys, actually, Z6 III is better. he also says, still wonder how Z5II keeps up in autofocus performance compared to Z6 III, and it's exactly the same or slightly worse. It's not exactly the same. I would call it slightly worse for the very simple reason. Z6 III has a partially stacked sensor, which helps with autofocus, especially for fast-moving subjects, aka sports, aka any movement, fast movement, wildlife, racing, you name it. So planes, automobiles, etc. So that's the reason for that. And effectively, it will perform as well as ZF, but it will be slightly worse than the Z6 III in the fast-moving subject situations. For general photography, I don't think you'll see the difference. That's at least my opinion. I've played with Z5II. I personally think that people who are looking at the entry-level full frame can get Z5II, and it's not an entry-level camera. It's entry-level on the lineup. What you get is basically a very good camera that can be used by amateurs as well as professionals. There's no doubt that, I can recommend, Z5II over Z6II, over Z7II, except resolution, of course, and dynamic range. But, like if you buy the camera now, and let's say autofocus performance is quite important, go for Z5II. You don't buy Z6II. That's my personal opinion. Z7II is it's the camera with the best dynamic range from Nikon. So better than Z8 and Z9 by tiny bit. But if you have to be like, if you have to put a number there, yes, it would be the first camera. Just have a look at the DxO measurements, which are subjective, of course. But yes, so like Z7II, if you don't need autofocus, that would be the camera probably, for the best dynamic range. But if you want to have the best of both worlds, Z8 probably for me is the best camera. Z9 obviously is a better camera, but it's not for everyone due to its price and the form factor. So I think Z8 is somewhere in a perfect kind of this middle where it's kind of the best of both worlds. But at least it's the camera for me. I really enjoyed it. But as I say, I have ZF for personal use, for fun use. Z8 is my kind of commercial work camera. So, when the job comes, that's the camera is gonna, that I will choose. But again, for people starting with photography, Z5II. It's the value for money performance, in my opinion, it's just through the roof. And that's the thing. As Z6 III, it's a big jump in price. And Z6 III is a better camera for video use, for specific needs. But for a lot of people, Z5II will do maybe something like 80-85% of what Z6 III does. So, that's why I think it's such a good value proposition. All right, so Kirill is saying, Con, I'm very intrigued by Voigtlander lenses. The 41.2 is definitely on my radar. Absolutely fantastic lens. It's my favorite, I think. If I have to choose one, it would be 41.2, then it would be 50 f1, and then it would be 28 1.5 on that system. So if you mix in both systems like Leica, then Voigtlander just announced 41.2 Mark II for Leica mount. So, if you mix in both, then you can get this and you can get, let's say, Z2 VM mount or Leica adapter and use that. But the difference is that actually those lenses are designed for thin stack on Leica, and Sony and Nikon sensors are thicker stack. So let's say that particular lens with Leica mount will perform better on the digital Leica compared to Nikon or Sony or let's say Canon mirrorless. So keep that in mind. There will be a certain trade-off there. So if you want the best performance, that's where the native mount glass comes in. So like Z40mm 1.2 or Z20 1.5, because they they specifically optimized for thicker sensor. So effectively, that's what it is. But yeah, 41.2 is just it's just kind of abundance of character, and character is what I love. Personally, I think I'm done with with the best sharpness ever. That's the thing. But that's where I'm, staging my photography now, where I just love character. Image quality is good enough. I don't need the sharpest as the most clinical lens possible in my life. But I've been doing photography since Yeah, so it's, close to 30 years now. So, I've kind of went through getting the best, sharpest gear with the fastest autofocus to now looking at vintage glass or looking at the character glass. That's why I'm playing with a lot of videography now with the vintage lenses, but I'm also kind of eyeing those anamorphic lenses, which, there's certain lenses I'm looking into, which are quite exciting. So yeah, there's a lot of, I'm glad that there's so much choice now for everyone, that if you want to go character, you've got now character. It wasn't the case, let's say, even a couple of years ago, and if you want critical and the ultimate sharpness, you've got that as well from all brands. And Nikon is kind of, it's it's either ahead of the pack or on the same level or better compared to other, with other manufacturers. So that's my opinion. What's my opinion on D6, Champagne? So I moved on from DSLRs. I personally think that's if you can pick one up secondhand, you're saving a lot. It's a fantastic camera. It's got a lot of autofocus settings that D5 didn't have. So it was a camera released around COVID. It was a camera that was released in the wrong time. And that's what I think caused the issue with this camera, where it just didn't sell well, or we're not talking about it as much. But if you're looking at the ultimate SLRs, we're saying F5 is the ultimate film camera, let's say, or F6. D6 would be that ultimate film, ultimate DSLR, really. I mean, again, personal opinion would be D850, of course, but, D6 is basically, it's got the latest tech. Whatever tech they could fit in there that D850 doesn't have, it was there. So that's what I'm going to say about it. So yeah. You can pick one up now, I wouldn't say for a son, but definitely reasonably priced. I think when it first came out, it was around 6 or 6.5, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, that's the difference. That's the difference. So now you can pick them up secondhand because a lot of people moved on towards Z9. And obviously, Z9 sold, miles better. All right. Mizi's in the chat. Hello, Mizi. Good to see you. He says, I'm really hoping you can release a new lens to follow on from 24 to 120, maybe 120 to 300. It kind of feels awkward to get 70 to 180 to 200, and you have the 24 to 120 due to the overlap in the focal range. Well, there's a couple of things there. So the 120 to 300 came out very late in the DSLR F-mount lenses life cycle. So I think that's the reason why Nikon kind of wasn't rushing into replacing this particular lens. So it's probably will come eventually, but because it was kind of one of the last lenses released for F-mount, that's probably the reason for that. But yes, you got obviously 24 to 120 and then 70 to 180. Yeah, that's where I feel like kind of we have a nice gap where you got 24 to 70, 70 to 200. But once you go to 24 to 120, it's kind of designed to have that particular range. And after this, you can go for 150 to 600, but they become big, and, that's the thing. So I see your point there. Maybe something like more compact, variable aperture, reasonably priced at something like 120 to 400 or 500 or something like this. Who knows? Speaking of which, not a full frame by DX, Tamron announced the development of DX big all-round, the 18 to 300 lens, which Nikon hasn't released. And obviously, Nikon had, I think, 4 versions of all-round for DX lenses for F-mount for DX range. So we had 18-200 Mark 1, we had 18-200 Mark 2 with a little lock, and then we had 18-300 compact lens and 18-300 bigger lens. So the one was cheaper, smaller, light. Another one was a bit more expensive, but would be sharper lens. So Nikon hasn't released anything like this for DX mount, and that's where Tamron comes in. They officially announced the development of that lens, and at this moment we don't have any dates. But once we have more news on that, I'll definitely will share it on a live chat with you. But yes, this is, if you are a DX user, that could be a lens to consider because it will do it all. So instead of having, let's say, 16-250 lens and 50-250, you can get 180-300, and it's kind of put it on, leave it, and forget it effectively. So like there is a type of photographer who does this, similar to, let's say, 28-400 from Nikon for the full frame. Okay, let's see. Oh, time flies, huh? Did I miss anything? Thank you very much, Randall. He said, yes, my local camera store was informed that some camera manufacturers are not accepting pre-orders because of the tariffs from the US. Bummer. Yeah, that's a lot of industry. Again, if you like video games, Nintendo now switched to, and they stopped the pre-order still, I think, very recently, because they announced the thing, then this whole tariff things began, and they just kind of said, we're not going to do any pre-orders right now because we don't know what the actual price is going to be. So a lot of places did this. I know that some of the places that sell some Chinese manufacturers of lenses, they've stopped shipping to the United States as well. So there's lots of things happening there, and I guess everyone is just trying to write it out and see what the end result is going to be, and hoping that it's not going to take, let's say, 4 years. Hopefully it's going to take just maybe another week or so, and then we'll move on from this, and there's some solution agreement that's going to be reached, etc. So obviously it's not just China, but a lot of stuff is manufactured by China. But as you saw, Nikon Room is Thailand, Z52 is manufactured in Thailand, and they say there's a 30% tariff or something there. So yeah, a lot of countries are affected. So manufacturers are trying to be cautious. I read about the Fuji, I think, stopping either pre-orders or sales of the RF 100 point and shoot camera and medium format one. So there's lots of, if you're following photography news, there's a lot of stuff like this that we need to be aware of. So yeah, it's just my personal hope that there's some sort of agreement that's been reached as soon as, and then we all can move on from this. Here we go. So Tom suggests mead or port with cheese. That's good. Yeah. Or wine, a nice Italian or Spanish or French. Eric Laurie has a question. Said, we heard this week that D6 has been discontinued. Do you foresee D50 next and anytime soon? Well, D6, to be honest with you, was a special order for a very long time. I can tell you that effectively we haven't seen one in a year or so, realistically speaking. D780 and D850 are still being sold. Nikon officially stated that they will support DSLRs till 2025. When this news came out, it was around 2022. So I personally think that Nikon will continue to support those cameras. It's just that I think we will see some sort of announcement. So I don't to be honest with you, it's not the matter will it ever happen. It will. It's just the matter when. My hope that it will last longer. And the only answer to that is going to be what are the sales of these cameras. And unfortunately, the sales of f-mount glass and DSLRs are extremely low compared to the sales of mirrorless. And that's been for the last 3 years. There's a huge drop-off in sales. So that means that you users don't buy f-mount either lenses or cameras. So we all bought and we all have it, or we upgrade to the mirrorless now. That's, so if there's no buying purchases, when they see that the camera doesn't sell, they will discontinue it. And I think it just doesn't make sense for camera like D6 to be produced, because it's a small limited production, but it probably takes up some sort of production line to something, or requires, certain allocation of time and people, to manufacture that. And if the cameras are not selling, then effectively we see the situation where they say there's no point, because we see that, let's say 99.9% people buying Z9, let's say, over D6, so there's no point. So a similar situation happened to F6 at the time. We were told that literally we have the last 10 units in the UK. You won it, we took them, and that was the last production effectively. And before that, we had a shipment, I think 2 or 3 cameras every 6 months. So they would just sell out but then we wait for another 6 months. So yeah, unfortunately, Eric, yeah, it's a matter of when. We all hope it's going to last longer, that's for sure. But even if the production will stop, Nikon will still support those cameras in terms of servicing and repairs, and this is very important to know. So this is very important. If you buy any camera right now, yeah, D780 and D850 is both fantastic choice. I personally lean towards D850 because that's the camera that I personally used and loved. But D780 is no slouch as well. Cheese and pickle sandwich. Thank you, Tadir. J Blue says in USA, Fujifilm has canceled pre-orders, unfortunately. Here we go. So David, yeah, okay, gotcha. Yeah, if you still have that issue, then definitely, yeah. Look, again, if it doesn't bother you, leave it. If it bothers you, take it to the service, and hopefully they can clear that up for you. All right. I can see is Mr. No. Good day, Con, in the chat. Question, what went bad with the meter in the F2 you have? Is that selenium meter or battery? No, Icon, is this actually Nikon FE? It's not FE2. It's not F2. It's Nikon FE. So yeah, I'm not sure what happened. It's just I found this on my desk today, so I'm gonna see what's gonna happen to it, as I say. So, but from a couple of people we contacted, they say, yeah, we can't do this anymore. So that's the thing. But I'll keep looking. If we can fix it, we'll fix it. If not, we'll get a good home for people who love their manual focus, their mechanical cameras, light meter or not. Like I've got Pentax 6.7 as well. It's got a working light meter. I never use light meter on that Pentax 6.7. I have my good old trusty Sikonic, which I love, L308. Beautiful light meter. I've got another one, the 568 as well, which is a little bit bigger and it's got a spot meter and stuff. But L308 is a beautiful light meter, which is something that I have in my pocket when I do street photography. I do them a couple of measurements and I'm kind of set for the next couple of hours because I know roughly what the light is in the shade, what the light is, on the sunny side of things, so I can adjust my aperture without looking at the light meters. So, yeah, we don't need to, we kind of. Again, one thing that film photography teaches us, I guess, is kind of not to rely, on just the camera or light meter all the time, and that's the thing. It's, we kind of, became, like, I think the digital camera is so good that, we can do things now by just pressing the button, and we now can think more about composition, about the lighting, other side of things, and less about technical side of photography, because those cameras are kind of doing a lot of things so well nowadays. The light meter is so good. You can stick it to P mode, you can stick it to aperture priority mode, and just set the aperture camera will do everything for you. Auto ISO, again, you don't need to think about this because they're so good in auto ISO. But then we have this, and that kind of brings me back to the roots, and that's what I enjoy nowadays. I just love my manual focus cameras because, again, it's not a commercial work. It's not a, let's say, professional tool camera, but when you just want to enjoy photography as a hobby or fun, is beautiful. And it's, as I say, for me, film photography therapeutical, that's what I do. I just enjoy it. It kind of brings joy to me. And I think as long as something brings joy to you, that's the most important thing. Doesn't matter if you have the latest and the most expensive camera in the world, or you picked something up for $5 in the thrift store and, it works and it gives you a joy. I think that's the most important thing in the world. All right, I'm going to go through your question really, really quick. It's, Tim Herring, thank you very much. Says tariff coffee for Con. Coffee has gone up in price. Not due to tariffs, just in general. But, in UK we have high inflation and, you all know that. So things have gone up in price anyway. No tariffs, just general prices. Okay. Let's see. I'm just going to quickly go through chat because it's been an hour and I can see there's a lot of comments here. So I'm just going to go really quickly. Okay, so let's start. Paul Church says ZFR, ZV, Eric says video focus camera, a rangefinder, Nikon will release next. I would be up for this. That's the thing. I will find the money. Give me a Nikon rangefinder. Simon says, I predict the next release will be Z9 Mark II. I would like to see D500 Z90 replacements, but I think it's unlikely. Michael Reed wants a D500 replacement. I want a like from you for this live stream. If you enjoy it, please hit that like, please, everyone. That helps. If you haven't subscribed yet and you enjoy the Rumble, then definitely subscribe. We do this every week. It's fun. Well, I hope you enjoy it, because otherwise, why am I doing this every week? So let's see. Mark Lee says probably Z50II would be the next camera, but my Z7, but maybe Z7 Mark III is a high 60 megapixel offering. Nice high resolution, slightly slower camera, makes sense. Tom says, I think Z7 Mark III is next up. As Nikon doesn't have a model above 45 megapixel, I think it will be 60 megapixel. That would be nice. That would be nice. Jet4 says, if you had a choice, would you buy an AFS 300 f2.8 VR in excellent condition or VR2 in fair condition with missing accessories? To be honest with you, I mean, they're both more or less the same. I personally think that VR2 probably would be slightly better in terms of autofocus motor. Again, they both should perform really well. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the original 300 may have a squeak, so I would check for squeaks. So technically, if you can get a VR2 version, probably you will have less problems with potential squeak. But with those things, because they're outdoor location lenses, the cosmetic condition will tell you a lot how long it's been used. So if you can buy a 300 VR from amateur instead of, let's say, seasoned professional photographer who use them day and night in the rain, snow, and a desert, then I would just get a slightly better conditioned one over the more used one. So that's the thing. So there's lots of things to consider, Jet Photo. So I would recommend you, just think about this. But I think in terms of autofocus motor issues, the VR2 should be slightly better, but optically they're more or less the same. But slightly better coatings on VR2. Hamza is asking me a question. Will Viltrox release 3512 lab for Z mounts? Also, what do you think about Viltrox 16-1.8? Can't answer your question, Hamza. I think that Viltrox, we have limited experience with Viltrox. I didn't try 16-1.8, so can't tell you this. I think if there's a market, they will release lenses. Overall, from the lenses we tried, they were very good. So that's the thing, at least for the price. That's the thing. I'm glad, to see what Chinese manufacturers doing. I think we're gonna have a threat from China in terms of, optics performance. I think Japan should really look into that and should, because the thing about Chinese manufacturers, they went from us not considering their lenses, their offerings, to now having it as a valuable option towards Japanese manufacturers in a very short period of time. It wasn't 10 or 20 years. It was like within, let's say, 5 to 7 years. And I think if they can continue to accelerate in the same way, then the Japanese manufacturers will see a competition, and I think competition is good. That's the thing. China is now taking on film production as well. We're going to see Lucky Film being released soon. We're going to see Light Lens Lab, who is known for manufacturers monofocus lenses that are reproductions of old vintage Leica designs. They are looking into starting a film production. They've just recently posted the update as well, so have a look at that if you're into film. So when they did the first announcement, you kind of take it with a pinch of salt, but you see their second announcement where they showing the machines they already creating for coating of the film, for how to prepare the 120 film rolls. It looks like they're being serious, and it's interesting. It's interesting. Speaking of tariffs on our end, not yet, but will Kodak increase their prices in the UK? Because obviously Kodak is now, film is manufactured in the United States. So how that's going to affect it? Would Fujifilm increase their prices on their 400, 200 stocks, which are manufactured in the United States? So the only company I know in the United States is Kodak, so I don't think it is manufactured by anyone else. Will those prices going to go up? We're going to see that as well. So there's a lot of things happening here and there. But yes, it's interesting. So who knows? Maybe color film is going to go up in price, and then we are going to be left with or who knows, maybe you're all going to shoot Harman Red or Harman Phoenix, which is improving, actually. Had another RAW shot recently, especially on 120. You can see that they haven't announced anything, but you can see their color chemistry, like the coatings are improving. So let's say shooting original Harman Phoenix that came out on day one and comparing it to the one that I shot recently, there's definitely improvement. So they don't advertise it, but there's definitely improvement in like the way the colors look, which is very cool. Sam would like to see ZFM monochrome 60 megapixel, would be quite cool. Ray Bryan says, do you think AI will go further into camera controls to handle things like white balance, ISO, artistic effects? They already do. Have a look at our conversation with Bruno a couple of weeks ago. We talked about it a little bit. Artistic effects are already there. We have our picture profiles or film simulations there. I personally think that we probably will see more iPhone or let's say Android-like capabilities for video functions like auto-enhance and things like this. I think that probably will come eventually because I think there's a whole market there for people who come in from their mobile phones. So maybe we'll see them, in the entry-level cameras because Nikon used to that with the D3000, D5000 series. So why not? So I think it's a matter of time as long as AI is being used for purposes that benefit our photography, our society, everything now live, then it's a good thing, So if we can, if we can manufacture that, if we can design that, it's good. It's good. When it's used for copying someone else, that's a different story. And obviously that's a big topic to discuss. But I think that AI, our perception of AI just, having ChatGPT or generation images, there's a lot more to it, if you see what I mean. So, and it's a matter of time, so it's when, not if you see what I mean. John C says, question, when do you think Nikon's going to release Z14 or 16mm lens for Milky Way work? I don't know. No information whatsoever. Hopefully soon. That would be quite cool. Terry, I saw your entry. I will reply. Thank you very much. Yes, I'm a bit backlogged with emails over Easter. It's my first day after Easter in the shop, so I'm a bit sworn, but I will reply to you. Don't worry. I saw it. Yes. Craig says, as Nikon moves further into prosumer and pro video, their priority needs to be a dual card redundancy on their video side if they truly want to compete. This is a weird one because we all have technically dual slot on cameras now. The question is, again, what Nikon doesn't do that other manufacturers do in that space at that price point. That's where discussion is. It's not about Nikon needs to do this. We need to say this particular model, let's say, that competes with Z50 at the same price point, does it do what Nikon doesn't? And then we're going to talk about this. I think that's kind of my position on this. So I would say yes. I think when Nikon release dedicated video camera, it will compete with the video market. A lot of things that Nikon does on their video cameras like Z6 III and Z8, which we don't advertise as video cameras, will outperform the competition by a mile. It's just other manufacturers promote their cameras as video cameras, videographers, and they have really good marketing. And I think that's where, I think Nikon needs to look at their marketing efforts to the point where they need to kind of educate people to say that those cameras do a lot more than you think that you do. So that's kind of short answer, Craig, on this. But as I say, I think when we say things like we kind of need to be just a little bit more specific on the, because I personally think that Nikon does compete, but Canon and Sony had definitely more time in that space, spent more time, and and obviously Nikon is catching up. And that's what we will see. What I can tell you that Nikon is increasing their video market share. I can't show you the stats, but the graphs I've seen, they are eating a chunk of share from Canon and Sony cameras for video side of things. I can tell you that much. That's the thing. The amount of attention that they put into video space in the last 2-3 years was absolutely amazing compared to what they did before. So if you do nothing, then you suddenly do it. There's a big increase, but they did spend quite a bit of time on that. And let's see what those fruits of Red acquisition is going to come in. I definitely want to see what's going to come from that. So I think that's the thing. There's a consumer side of things, there's a professional side of things. Let's see what will happen in a few years. But I agree with you, Craig, in the way that this is the time where we're not sure yet what's going to come of it. So let's give it another 6 months, and hopefully we can have a better understanding of what Nikon is doing in that video market of things. Okay, let's see. Mark Ward says, I have a few bellow cameras that use 120 film and very old climbers bellow that use plates. Fantastic. Medium format, I love medium format. If I could shoot medium format over 35, if I would have the budget to shoot medium format, I would just shoot medium format, and it's, I would skip 645. I would go like, 6-7 formats. So Pentax 6-7, Mamiya 7 cameras, RZ, RBs, Bronica's SQ1. So this type of cameras, yeah, definitely. I love it, and I love that 4:5 ratio as well. I enjoy that. Interesting comment, David. I'm not going to read that. We don't want to go too much into that side of things, but I understand what you mean, definitely. Let's see. Thank you, team. Let's see. Okay. Terry says, I now have your app on my phone. This is very easy to use. Do we have an app? Thanks, Terry. We're going to wrap up. So Eric says, will the tariff dispute impact on Nikon price in the UK? Not at this moment, not we're aware of. So no communication whatsoever. Yeah, as I say, price increases do come. They used to be on yearly basis, so every, let's say, 18 months. We haven't seen a price increase for a while now. In fact, Nikon lowered some prices on D780, D850, and Z6 and Z6 IIs. So that happened in April. So no, I think as long as, as long as UK doesn't do anything, we're going to be fine. But as I said, some companies like Sony increase the price on their products. PlayStation 5, nothing to do with photography, in UK and Europe, and the excuse was basically based on tariffs in the United States. So some companies do take advantage on this. I don't know. Obviously, there was a cheap yen for a while now. So if yen price fluctuated quite a bit. I remember when I went my first time to Japan, I think the yen was at 200 for a pound. And my second time, which was 7-8 years ago, it was 140 yen for a pound. So I definitely could feel it, the difference. I think we are back to like 200 territory now. So a lot of Japanese companies now release the products in Japan for Japanese public. It's the same product, but it's only have one language, Japanese. And the idea of it is they can release it cheaper in Japan. But you can't get English language on it. So, and this is to do to battle of expert of people buying things in Japan and taking it away. So that's the thing. So there's certain products like this. If you Google it, you'll see what I mean. So yeah, but coming back to UK, no, not at this moment. If this changes, we will let you know. All right, I'm just again. Okay, let's do 5 more minutes and then we're done. Okay. Simon Lamar says, stronger US dollar, come to Canada to buy a camera where no tariff change with Japan, China, etc. Don't know customer implication when crossing the border. Maybe dirty camera bit, get rid of the packaging. Some people were shipping their stuff. Yeah, I'm not going to recommend you ways of avoiding customs. Realistically, we all should declare things. Now, what you decide to do with your packaging, I know the story that actually there was someone who did ship their parcels, and then it was like they were caught by doing that. But how that enforced, I have no idea. But yes, we all should be diligent and good law-abiding citizens. Not going to recommend you the ways to avoid the customs. All right. David Lewis says, Tamron had the 18-400 f-mount lens. That was great. Hope their Z will be good too. Well, 7300 was good. Their 2.8 glass is fantastic. So I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's, again, not lens for me, but I know there's definitely a market for this. And I'm surprised Nikon hasn't released anything in this space. So maybe that's part of their agreement with Tamron, where Tamron fills the gaps where, like 7300, which Nikon didn't release. Maybe Nikon still hasn't released 7300. So I feel like it's a part of the agreement. But again, we will never find out. Michael has a question for me, but no actual question. So if you have a question, write it down, Michael. I try to answer it. All right. Chat is going really well, but we're going to wrap up. This coffee and cheese is definitely is one of the things that is still on our minds. Definitely give me good ideas of a good coffee and cheese pairing. Tell me about the coffee, either blend or single origin, and which cheese would you pair it? American cheese, the sliced one, the melted cheese, burger cheese, or whatever you guys call it. So but I do, a good cheddar can be really, really nice. But I do like Manchego. It's one of my favorite cheeses. Okay. Edward Philip Maria Nazir says, DSLRs is not dead. Still use my D800 since beginning almost 2013. Well, Edward, I agree. DSLRs are not dead. It's just, as I say, when I answer those questions, not to offend anyone, I'm just saying that if the sales drop on the product, it's not viable for the company to continue. We can't really blame Nikon for this. First of all, they haven't stopped the production of DSLRs, let's be honest. Second of all, look at other companies who still manufactures DSLRs. That should give you a good answer. So, Canon doesn't do this, Sony doesn't do it, Fuji doesn't do it. That was a long time ago. I think Pentax, that's pretty much it. Leicas are rangefinders, different story. That's the thing. So DSLRs are not dead, F-mount is not dead. People, those cameras are not dead because we still use them, even with broken light meters. That's not the question. That's not what I was touching. What I was touching is if the sales of product dropped and they see that it's no longer viable, they will stop because they will concentrate on other products. That's what it is. But I personally think that, your D800 is still going strong, and I think my hope that it will serve you for another at least 15, 20 years because it is a good camera. I had personally D800E, and it was, when you go from D700 to D800, from 12 megapixels to 36, and you see that dynamic range, and you're just like, whoa. So, absolutely, I agree with you. Stick to your guns and, you'll enjoy it. Absolutely. All right, we are wrapping up. Thank you very much for everyone who joined me today. It's been more than 1 hour, but because we haven't had one last week, so it's always a pleasure to spend time with you. Next week, we're going to have Nikon in the movies with Gray Levitt himself, so that's going to be fun. In 2 weeks, we're going to have a challenge, my hometown, your hometown, not my hometown, your hometown challenge. So please send me your submissions. If you have any questions about this, put them in the comments or email me. I will help to answer them. But I hope you enjoyed it. It's good to see everyone. There's a film conversation. Guys, why are you talking film at the end of the live stream? Let's talk film during the live stream. I feel like we're due for the live stream for film. I think it's definitely due, not to spoil anything, but we'll be excited for film users. I can tell you that. Do I know anything? I don't know. Am I tasting something now? I don't know. I'm not going to tell you, but there's something happening there. So get excited. We're going to talk about this, but go take some photography. Enjoy your time. Have a wonderful weekend. It's fantastic to see you all. I'll see you next week, the same time. All the best. Bye-bye.